Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the day 3 of the JBM 2020. Before we start our day, we would like to thank our sponsors, associate partners, the Seagull School of Publishing, country partner, Norwegian Embassy, venue partner, DC Books. We would also like to thank Goethe Institute and Institut Français. Our first session for the day is Anatomy of Literature Prize, but before that, we have a very important person with us who's going to give the keynote address on India at the Frankfurt Book Fair. The keynote address is by Claudia Kaiser. Claudia has been in the senior management of Frankfurt Book Fair since 2003 in different positions: General Manager of Kitab and Head of Cape Town Book Fair. As Vice President Business Development of Frankfurt Book Fair, she looks into markets in Southeast Asia, South Asia, in Middle East and Africa.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for coming. I'm too short for this. Okay, this might work out better. All right, oops, loud. Good morning, everyone. Hope you had a great start of the day with this beautiful sunshine in beautiful Jaipur. I did. And thank you very much for having me here. Thank you very much, Mita, Namita, Sanjoy, the whole team of the Jaipur Literary Festival for having me here. We've been here, I've been here for quite a number of times. Last year, our director of the Frankfurt Book Fair was also present. And this year at the Frankfurt Book Fair, the Jaipur Literary Festival was also present with bringing some authors and being part of some panel discussions. So I was asked to tell you a little bit about what Frankfurt Book Fair is and how India is presented at Frankfurt Book Fair. At this very moment, or in this year, or in these past few months, India has been becoming an expert of guest of honor presentations. I think last year, India was guest of honor at least in Guadalajara, and I think at some other book fairs, and at the upcoming Paris Book Fair, India will also be the guest of honor, and it has a long history. So let me start. Here. This is a historic photo, and it's probably one of the peaks of the cooperation between India and Germany. Who knows when this was? You know, Avashi? 2006, right? When India was the guest of honor at the Frankfurt Book Fair for the second time. And it was our great pleasure that we got these two authors to meet and discuss, and we had a full house, as you can imagine. And it was a real pleasure to listen to these two exceptional guys and authors. Okay, so just a few words about Frankfurt Book Fair. We have about 300,000 visitors each year, which doesn't sound a lot, especially not to organizers of this festival or the New Delhi World Book Fair or any event in India, but most of them are from the trade and from the professional background. More than 7,000 exhibitors from 164 countries are all those visitors and exhibitors. And the interesting thing is that we have more professional visitors every year. So the number of professional visitors and international visitors is going up. Also wanted to say a few words about where we come from. The Frankfurt Book Fair is owned by the German Book Publishers and Booksellers Association, which is one of the strongest associations in our industry worldwide. And of course, you all know the Frankfurt Book Fair. Frankfurt has always been a very important center for exhibitions and shows for the past 500 years. But after the Second World War, when Germany was divided into two, the Publishers Association started anew in Frankfurt, or in the western part of Germany in Frankfurt, and restarted the book fair, and it was then called Frankfurt Book Fair and has always kept the name. It belongs to the Publishers and Booksellers Association, and we have a target or a goal, and our goal is to make sure that everyone who wants to participate can participate at the Frankfurt Book Fair, even the smallest ones. And therefore, our stands, the smallest stands, are the ones that are the cheapest in terms of square meter prices. So it's not a real market policy that we're doing. And we also run a lot of programs because we also have the goal of growing or helping to grow the publishing industry worldwide and to support the exchange in publishing worldwide. And therefore, we work together very closely with the Foreign Office, with the Goethe Institute, and we have offices worldwide, one here in Delhi, the German Book Office in Delhi, and offices in Beijing, in Moscow, and in New York, and are also present in Southeast Asia and Latin America. So a small company, but active worldwide. We are only around 100 people, so we're not the Siemens, and also not the Goethe Institute. Okay, just we don't only do books, even though the book fair name suggests this, but we are diversifying, and we're obviously, since we want to help the publishing grow and develop, help the publishing industry grow and develop, we created all sorts of venues and opportunities where publishers can grow in other areas. So what do we have? We have, of course, an area for academic publications. We have an area for non-books, for children's content and publications. We started the Arts Plus, which is bringing together content and technology, so all sorts of innovative technology projects, like the ones you will see next door, managed by the Goethe Institute, a VR project. So many of those are being presented there, but of course also the arts. We have a literary festival called Bookfest, which we started a few years ago. And of course, something like a gourmet gallery should also not be missing nowadays, where cookbooks are such a big part of the industry. Sorry, not used to this. Okay, more than 10,000 journalists and bloggers make sure that the Frankfurt Book Fair is reported about all over the world. Okay, so these are just a few pictures from our Guest of Honor India. So we started this Guest of Honor project in the 1970s, and the director of the Frankfurt Book Fair, who started it, won an award for starting such a project like the Guest of Honor project, because it's been really taking off, and we have now a line of about 10. I mean, we are booked up until 2025 or 26 with Guest of Honors. So it is a very, very popular way of showcasing countries' literature, authors, culture, and everything around it. So this is India, as I said earlier. 1986 was the first time that India was the Guest of Honor, and 2006, 20 years later, it was again the Guest of Honor, and it was called India Today, managed by the National Book Trust. We had more than 70 authors and a huge number of translations into German and other languages. One of the results of India being the Guest of Honor and the close relations that we were able to build in that time was that we set up a German book office in New Delhi in 2008, which presents obviously the Frankfurt Book Fair and helps anyone who is interested and wants to exhibit at the Frankfurt Book Fair to come. But it also helps in the translation sector, so we help with translation grants. We work very closely with the Goethe Institute, who provides a grant. We promote German authors, German literature, and German publishers, and obviously organize programs towards the exchange of publishing and to give publishers an opportunity to grow. So one of the things we organized very early on was a global local conference, which started out as a round table where publishers from all over the world and India came together and discussed issues of mutual interest. And this became a big conference, which a matchmaking session. It was went very well for some years. And now we're going digital and reinvented global local and doing a series of podcasts about matters that are of interest for the international publishing industry. The other big event that we did was Jumpstart, around everything around children's publishing, also worldwide, very international, big conference and festival with master classes and seminars, not only in Delhi, but also in Mumbai and other places. And also that we are turning into an app which can be downloaded, and the content of Jumpstart can be listened to and learned on the app. Of course, we just mentioned the publishers training programs for young professionals, which we did many years for many years. In Frankfurt, as I said, we not only work as a Frankfurt Book Fair, we are very unique organizations and have offices and also non-for-profit activities like the LitCam, literacy campaign, which does literacy promotion programs in different parts of the world, and also in Germany, and especially in the field of football, young football players. And we also have an organization called LitProm, which promotes literature from Asia, Africa, and Latin America to Germany. And we get some funds from the Foreign Office to translate about 10 books every year from those languages into German. So those are also some of our non-for-profit activities. Programs that we run is a Frankfurt International Translators Program for translators of literature and nonfiction, which we started a few years ago. And on all of these programs, we always have a space for Indian participants. The Frankfurt Fellowship Program is a program where we invite about 20 young professionals from all over the world to come to Frankfurt, go on a trip through the publishing industry of Germany, learn about publishing, and create a very unique and very professional network, which they usually keep on growing, and they keep together, and they have WhatsApp groups, and they meet at different book fairs worldwide, those people who are part of the fellowship program of 1 year. There we usually also have an Indian fellow. And our invitation program is where we invite publishers, small publishers, independent publishers, who otherwise would not be able to come to Frankfurt and participate in this big event. About 30 publishers per year, also mostly from Asia, Africa, and Latin America. And also there we always mostly have publishers from India. And I think some of you have been part of this too. Yeah, we talked about the Goethe Institute. Of course, Naveen has talked about it many times and very often, and it's wonderful that was able to create such lists like the German list with 100 titles from Germany translated into English. But we also work with Bani Prakashan and other publishers to translate to publish works, translations from German, not only in English, but also in other Indian languages. Okay, so let's go further, one step further. India at the Frankfurt Book Fair in 2020, we had Sarah Rai in an international discussion within our Book Fest, our literary festival. Sanjay Roy was presenting the Indian art scene at one of the big discussions in our new area, Arts Plus, which is a very funky and very inspiring new area at the book fair. And of course, we also talked about the Indian publishing industry and the challenges that are here and the exchanges that are possible. And the National Book Trust and the publication division of the Ministry for Information and Broadcasting did an exhibition of the 150th birthday of Mahatma Gandhi this year at the book fair. Right. And The National Book Trust is also present at the book fair, as we said, the publications division, and many publishers from India, but we don't have an Indian branding. We cannot see India at the book fair. So apart from when India was the guest of honor, all the Indian exhibitors come separately and not together. We have about 70 to 100 national stands. So France comes as France, and the Netherlands come as the Netherlands, and Indonesia comes at Indonesia, and Vietnam is just coming up and bringing wonderful authors, but also a really nice presentation of Vietnam, so that publishers who come up can be seen and recognized as Vietnamese publishers. With India, that is not the case. The second biggest country in the world, population-wise, is basically not recognizable at the Frankfurt Book Fair. And we are trying very hard to change that, because it's such a great place, and India has already done so much to present itself, and all of that is not being seen, which is something that is a shame and should be changed. So that's why my last slide is, let's get going and change that. Thank you very much.